Hey, everybody. This is the Scary Movie Project, the podcast where we talk about what else? Scary movies. I'm Tara.
And hello, I am Matt. And, 4 weeks after a mysterious, incurable virus spreads through the UK, a handful of survivors try to find sanctuary. Your days are numbered. 28 days later. Let's dive into it. It's a great movie. Where do we begin?
Well, so first of all, I found a couple things about this. One thing that's pretty interesting, I thought, was that it was shot almost completely in sequence, except for a couple pickups here and there, which as an erstwhile actor, erstwhile, you like that? You like my SAT words
anytime
there?
We can slip in a good vocabulary word, I'm
nice
all about
SAT
that.
word.
Yeah.
Guys, look it up. It's a good word.
We're going to build your vocabulary while we're at this.
So as having been an actor, I love that because it's so much easier to act when you're going in order and you don't have to jump around scenes like from scene to scene. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I think that's funny too, how every time they do a movie like that, it's a big deal and they mention it. You know,
yeah, they always mention it.
It's so uncommon now that they do that. Like, yeah, they shot this in sequence. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The Shining, they shot it in sequence.
Well, there was a lot of interesting stuff about that movie. That's just one of them. Yeah.
Right. We'll get there another time.
Just one point about that. But yeah.
That's teasers, guys. We'll get there in another episode.
And I think some of that was because of, I mean, this was not a, $300 million movie. Let's not kid ourselves here.
Well, and they also, it's not the kind of movie where you go to the same location several times throughout the movie. Really, you're in a location and then you've left that location.
That's
and you're
true.
never going back.
That's true.
So it doesn't make as much sense to jump around like it does in a lot of movies where, we should shoot all the scenes in their house at the same time.
Yeah.
So we don't have to set it up again.
You're right. Yeah.
So I think it makes sense that way.
It does.
It's also, and I know you know this, Matt, because you get excited about it. I know it's one of the first mainstream movies ever to be shot entirely on digital instead of film. And they shot on what camera, Matt?
Canon XL1, one of the greatest cameras of all time. I love it.
Love that camera.
I shot so much footage with that camera over like a 2-year span back in like 2006 and 2007. I loved it. I really did.
Right around when they, no, actually far later than they did.
2001, right?
2002.
2002. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So the reason they did it for a couple of reasons. They did it for stylistic reasons because they wanted it to sort of look like the film itself was in the post-apocalyptic world there.
Sure.
But they also did it because they could set them up so much more quickly than a big film camera. So because they were shooting on a low budget and they didn't have very long to shut down places like, yet again, Piccadilly Circus, they would be able to just, and I think at times they were shooting with like 6 of them at once.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So they were shooting with a lot of cameras all at once.
I know that. Didn't they close? What's the bridge scene at the beginning when he first wakes up and he's walking? What bridge is that in London? Tower Bridge. Is that right?
Was it Tower Bridge?
Yeah, and they were able to shut
remember.
that down on a Sunday morning so they could get rid of all the people. You know, it's one of those things where you have like half an hour and you've got to just like boom, 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 get in there and do it. But yeah, they were able to do it.
There were apparently someone when they were on is it the M6? I'm not in England, so I don't know. I think it's called the M6.
Yeah, the road you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the M6.
Oh yeah, when they're driving, and they're driving in the cab, right?
Yeah. Well, so when they're driving, they apparently couldn't completely shut down traffic, but they could like slow it down so that they could like get in gaps. Like give them a window.
Right. And that makes it. I mean, even maybe harder, just because you've got to be so aware of your space and your surrounding in that. Yeah, that's. But you know what? You got to work with what you got to work with.
Yeah. So what else?
Well, talk about who made this movie.
Well, who made this movie, Matt?
Yeah, Danny Boyle made this movie.
Danny freaking Boyle.
And what's unfortunate is you probably know him from his famous movies, but you probably don't know he made this movie. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of his earlier ones, right?
You know his mainstream stuff. Yep, right. But you probably don't know. I don't know. I think some people know some of the stuff he did, but I'm not going to.
Sure, like Slumdog Millionaire people know.
Right, that was the whole thing. I'm not going to sit here and
And Train Spotting,
right.
yeah.
Train
stuff
Spotting
like
was
that.
what really gave him the big. Oh, Shallow. I think he did Shallow Grave, which you might want to check out too. He did 127 Days Later with a guy gets his arm caught in the rock climbing thing or whatever. He's done a bunch of stuff, but yeah, of course he did that. I forgot what's the movie called. You mentioned it, the famous movie that he did.
Slumdog Millionaires.
There you go. So yeah, that's the one everybody knows.
So speaking of people who are involved in this movie and who were not involved in this movie, so it stars Cillian Murphy, and he was not the first choice for the role of Jim. Did you know this?
Probably. I don't think so. Who do they want?
The first choice was Ewan McGregor.
Is it? Because wasn't he in Train Spotting with him, right?
So and and there was a little bit of a little bit of adversity going on between them. They were not so happy with each other at the time, so he didn't end up doing it. And their next choice, get this, was Ryan Gosling.
Okay.
That would have been a very different movie, I think, with Ryan Gosling.
I don't know. I mean, you always, whenever you look back and you think about that comes up, but, for all you know, may have worked really well. Who knows?
It might have worked really well. It just would have been very different.
Probably. Cillian Murphy, of course, after that, his career, exploded. I mean, you talk about a dude that parlayed something into a career. Holy crap. I mean,
yeah.
So when I think of him, though, then I think of 28 Days Later, of course. But I think of him as Scarecrow, right, from Dark Knight.
Scarecrow, that's what I always think of. He was so creepy as that role in that role.
He was very good. He was very good.
And he's a fantastic actor.
Oh, he's excellent. He's excellent.
And
then
so the other
also don't forget the father that drives the cab that they meet up with. He's been in a bunch of movies. I know specifically he's in Gangs of New York.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's an Irish actor,
That's right.
I love him.
He's excellent. Yep.
And Christopher Eccleston is in it as well. He is. Now I'm trying to remember what he's in. I know who Christopher Eccleston is, and then I forgot what he's in.
Is he the guy that plays the army guy that runs the abandoned mansion?
Yes.
Yeah. Is he in Alien 3?
Maybe. I know he's in a bunch of stuff.
Going out on a limb here. Is that the doctor from Alien 3? Oh man, we got to look this up.
I don't know, guys. We should do more research.
Anyway, so we're going into specifics here, but do we need to talk about this movie itself and what it's? Should we touch on that?
Yeah. So one other thing I found that I thought was interesting, though, that I'd like to bring up was the rage symptoms.
Oh, rage virus! You don't want it.
So
end of story.
The red eyes, the rash, the internal bleeding, like puking blood and stuff.
Yes.
That was actually based on Ebola virus symptoms.
Is that right?
Yeah. So you don't want that either.
Oh my God. The rage virus, you don't.
Really do not want
Although the thing about it, though, is it's not like you're going to suffer for very long, considering how it takes 20 seconds for it to take over.
And then you're just angry.
Right. It's not like you're laying in bed like, oh, man, I feel like crap for a week. No, it's within 20 seconds.
You're like, whoa, I got a little blood on me. Wow, I'm going to kill you. And that's it.
Like that scene when they open up when they're in their cage with the monkeys and they're banging on the windows. Yeah. So it's like that tale, too, of don't mess around with this, these testing on animals too. I think is part of what he's trying to say.
Yeah. So if we're going to talk about that, we open with the TV footage of the chaos, right? Like just chaos.
Yes, love chaos. By the way.
And then we see we pull back from the TV and it's a bunch of TVs and it's just all being shown to a monkey.
Yeah.
Which I just think is such a weird, cool visual.
Well, it's fun to watch monkeys. So yeah, they're great.
Right. But he's just sitting there watching passively. And then the activists break in.
Yep.
Right. So they want to take pictures and let people know and not the monkeys. It's their chimps. They want to let the chimps out.
Chimps, yeah.
But I love this. The scientist comes in and finds them and they want to get them out. And he says, but the chimps are infected.
Yes, that you were saying that. They're all infected with rage virus. Yeah.
With rage.
He knows exactly what's going to happen. And he says, no, you can't do this.
so it begins.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, that scene is intense. Yeah, they're
ridiculous.
banging on the glass, and you see their breath on everything. Yeah, yeah.
And then it's 28 days later.
That's right.
And Cillian Murphy is waking up in the hospital bed. Cillian Murphy is Jim.
Jim, yes.
And he wakes up in the hospital bed. Ladies,
Oh, yeah,
completely naked. Not bad at all, I am saying. Okay.
And it's just,
Not
you know
bad.
what? It's exactly like the first scene in the first episode of Walking Dead. Just like when Rick wakes up in the hospital, and it's like,
or
God
how about
knows
we say,
how many days later or months later.
Let's say the first scene in Walking Dead is just like this.
Okay, whatever. Yes, vice versa.
Because this came first.
It did. You're
Actually,
right.
I don't know if it came before the.
No, it did. Walking Dead season 1. Well, we're talking about the TV show, so yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
So he wakes up in the hospital. He's alone. Whole city seems to be deserted. He finds that paper that says like the military have been ordered to shoot to kill. He sees all these missing signs.
Oh God,
the church.
You know what? Oh yeah, good. I'm gonna get to that. But the one thing I wanted to think about, I don't know if this was inspired by it or just happened to be in the movie, but that missing scene is, well, if you're an American, is scary because it reminds you of all the September 11th billboards that were up for missing people.
So
whenever I see it, it's the first thing I think of, and it creeps me out.
I actually read about that he was actually, they shot that, and they shot the movie before, or that part of the movie before September 2011. There's actually another scene we'll talk about. They shot on the day of.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so they shot that before,
that always reminds me of that.
And he said that if he had known all that was going to happen, he wouldn't have shot that. It wouldn't have been in the movie.
Yeah. I think a lot of shows and movies like ended up cutting out scenes like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have shot it if he had known that was going to happen. Apparently there were people who were upset about it and thought that he did it to like take advantage, and he apparently did not.
When I watch it, that's what I think of, but I also, it just reminds me of it, but I don't get offended. I don't think it was to it meant any harm by it. I don't think. No.
Right. No. But so then they go to the church. He goes to the church.
Yeah.
And there's
that's a great scene.
Guys, there's a whole entire floor just full of dead people who were apparently college students who volunteered to come and do that scene.
Very cool. I would have done it. I'd do it right now.
Totally, I'd do it. I'd totally do it.
I'll do it now for free.
And so, but this creeped me out. Like when the priest comes up there, he's like up on the higher level, and the priest comes up and like attacks him, and he's
like yelling. He's like, "No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this." Like he doesn't want. Right.
No.
Right.
And then some people show up with Molotov cocktails.
I love that. I mean, that's always a good thing. So, you know what?
Actually, I guess he's being chased by them first, and they show up with the Molotov cocktails because this is outside.
Right.
And we are off, you guys. Molotov cocktails everywhere.
They're great.
They burn the whole place down. It's crazy.
So,
and kind of awesome.
It is very awesome. Before we go too deep, I want to just point out the fact that, or discuss the fact when we reference them. Are we referencing these people as the infected, which they do in the movie, or are they zombies? We're calling them the infected because they're not actually dead.
Well, they're not undead, so they're not zombies.
I know,
they are
just easy
infected.
To say that. Yes, we call, and that's what they call them in the movie, the infected. Right? Okay.
They call them the infected. So
they are. Sure, we're on the right page.
I mean, let's be accurate, okay?
Hey, when you read reviews about infected. They call them zombies. I'm just saying, and it's a zombie movie. So
and it is. Its own kind of zombie movie. It definitely does have that sort of structure and feel to it. But I think he very specifically made them not undead zombies to make it a little bit more real and scary.
Yeah. No, we'll refer to the infected. I like it. That's perfect.
And also, I think it gives a lot more weight to it when you have to kill them, because they're, it's easy to say, well, you shot it in the head, but it was already dead. It's harder when this person is alive, but they have a virus.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
And you don't know how to cure them. So the people who showed up with Molotov cocktails are introduced. They are Mark and Selena.
Mm-hmm.
And he hangs out in their hidey hole with them, and they tell him about the rage virus and explain what happened and everything, which is, basically what you expect.
Aren't they? So
Somebody,
they're
the
hanging out.
monkeys got out and everybody got it.
They're hanging out, and they said it was within like weeks. It was over. Like everyone was dead. Everyone was infected, right? Like it happened like almost instantly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now it's only 28 days later. It's
Right.
still the day he woke up. So
Right.
yeah,
So-
like this is within 28 days. England at least is devastated. At least what we're seeing of
And
England.
I think they mentioned it spread all over the world at that point too. But
I think so.
whatchamacallit? Yeah, they're hiding out in like a newspaper like stand or something, and he's eating a bunch of
Yeah.
candy or whatever. And they're giving like
Yep,
they're giving like the rules, and he's like, rule 1 is don't ever
Lesson 1.
don't go anywhere alone unless you absolutely have to. Rule number 2, don't go out at night unless you absolutely have to. Right? Yeah, there's a couple. And I forget there was maybe one more, but I don't remember what it was.
And it was just those two. And
Okay.
I'm kind of proud of them because I was watching it waiting for them to immediately not follow those rules, a la American Werewolf in London,
Sure,
where they're
yeah.
like, don't go off the road, and like 30
Yep.
steps later they're off the road.
Of course.
But they didn't. They really did try to follow the rules.
They
They
did.
kind of all do reasonable things, which makes it even scarier because they're all trying to do the right thing and be reasonable and smart about this, and
Right.
it's still horrible.
Yeah.
But so then they go to look for Jim's parents.
Oh yeah, that's not a pleasant scene.
And they've killed themselves. They've taken pills.
Yep.
And they've left this. I don't want to call it a suicide note because they didn't expect him to see it, I don't think. But they wrote that note on the back of a picture of him about we left you sleeping and now we're sleeping with you. Please,
Right.
we hope you never wake up. And it's like, it's so hard to see and read. Oof. It's just.
Yeah. And then he goes, and I think he takes a shower and shaves, and they move on. Right.
Well, they stay there the night.
That's right.
They do get. So this is when he's up late at night with the candle, watching old home movies while Mark and Selena are asleep.
Right.
And
that's when
it attracts some infected,
and they just come busting through that door.
They just come busting through the door and the window and everything. And Mark gets bitten, and Selena just hacks him to death. No hesitation.
God. Well, no, before that happened, remember, he looks at her, and there's a split second where he goes, no, wait. But he, like, if it happens to you, what you have to do, but if it actually happened to you, you'd be like, no, we can't do it. And she just like, no,
Nope.
hell no. And just starts, hacking him to death. That is intense.
With her big, huge machete. She's just like,
God,
on him. She doesn't even he doesn't even have a second to rage at her.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't even gone there. She just obliterates him.
Was he, I don't remember, was he actually bitten, or did he get cut by the glass?
I don't know. Maybe he got cut by the glass.
That's the thing. I don't
but
think
he
they
did
were for
get
sure
splattered with blood.
Okay. Yeah, you know what though? This is a world where you can't take chances, and what's so interesting is, you always say you would be able to kill somebody, and she's legit. I mean, she will hack you to death. She does not care.
Well, and at
amazing.
one point, I think later on, she says to Jim, she's like, I wouldn't hesitate. She's like, I would. Of course, we see how true that is later on, but
right.
But at this point in her life, she is enough. She's been through enough that she knows already. I would just do it without thinking I would kill someone.
She's desensitized. Her only, survival is the only thing that she thinks of. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. So they have to leave real quick before more infected show up, right? And that's when they see the Christmas lights flashing up in that high window of a building up
High
there.
Rise,
yeah, the high rise, and they go to investigate. So they've run out of the house. They're like back on the streets of the city, and they see this high rise, Christmas lights flashing. They go up the stairs. Some more infected show up.
And the dude with the gas mask is at the door trying to right?
He's completely he's in full SWAT gear, you guys, like head to toe SWAT gear. He's got the face shield. He's got the big shield, the plastic shield that you can like see everything through, but
He's
they can't get through.
One of those folks you'd see at like a riot somewhere, like a SWAT team, really, exactly.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so this is Frank.
Frank.
He
That's right,
and his
Frank.
daughter Hannah,
Yep.
take them in.
Yep.
And Frank has that radio that's
right.
well, so he takes them in. They have the radio that tells them where to go.
Yeah, what
And
did they
says salvation is here,
That's right.
and we know how to deal with it. And so he wants to go. But actually, I forgot, this is the point where they have that little celebration when he finds them and brings them in, and they all drink creme de menthe because that's the only alcohol they have left.
That's right.
But that is the scene that they filmed on September 11th.
Oh.
And the actors said that it was like really tough to film.
Interesting.
On that day.
I bet. Yeah. Oh man.
Because they're celebrating and they're supposed to be like happy, all this just happened. So
think it's a movie scene. It's not real. So
yeah, but it's hard because you have to act.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to. That's acting, man.
Yeah.
That's acting. Sure. You do it no matter what you feel like.
Right.
But so he has that transmission. He wants to go, but he really can't go with just his daughter because he knows that if something happens to him, she'll be left alone. Right. Yeah. So it takes a little convincing for Selena because she thinks the father and daughter need them more than they need him and his daughter, but they end up going with them.
And he's a cab driver, right? And they take his cab.
Yes, they take the cab.
Right.
And they're driving out, and they have like the nice drive and everything, and then they get a flat in a tunnel. They're almost out of the tunnel. He's driven over all the stacked cars and done this great this whole great thing, and he as he lands, the tire goes flat and they have to fix it. And
all the infected just come running down the tunnel, and you never see them.
It's the
don't even start. I know what you're gonna say.
It's the rats first. I hate
so
them. Bad.
I hate them. It's so disgusting. Then the infected, you never see them, but you just see the shadow of them along the wall inside the tunnel, and it's so good. I love that.
Yeah, and so the daughter is trying to fix the flat while everybody else is trying to make sure they keep them back.
And they're picking up the car because the jack is broken. Right.
Right. It's so tense. But they get away just in the nick of time. And then they find that fully stocked grocery store. And I love that scene. They're just wheeling down the aisles with the shopping carts, just having a blast. That's really cute.
That's one of those scenes that's like a mandatory zombie movie scene, where the group of people find some sort of stocked grocery store or some restaurant or some store that still has some semblance of reality in society where they kind of can just go and do whatever. Yep, I love that.
Yeah. And then they get the gas from the 16-wheeler. They do that.
Yep.
Then they drive a little further. And this is a shot that I loved. They're driving past these huge wind turbines.
Yeah, the wind. Yep.
That are still going.
Yeah.
So, we may have ground to a halt, but things like the wind turbines, of course, they're powered by nature. They're still going.
That's right.
Yeah. I thought that was a really nice
cool.
touch.
It's a little makes you think moment. Yeah. I like that.
And then another moment that I really liked was when they stopped for the picnic.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they see
the horses, right?
They see the horses. Yeah. And they're talking about, are they a family? And then
they wonder if they're infected, right? Yeah.
Yep. And Frank says, no, they're doing fine because nature does not need us.
Right.
We need it. It does not need us.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're doing just fine with none of the people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Around. And this is also when Selena admits that survival isn't as good as it gets, and she gives Jim a kiss on the cheek.
Yep.
So this is their first romantic moment.
That's right.
And then, oh God. And this, I was so sure that it was going to end very badly when this happened. They go to sleep outside there where they stopped for the picnic.
Which is, I wouldn't have done that, but.
Everybody except Frank takes Valium to help them sleep.
Right. That's right.
And all I can think is, this is such a bad idea.
Oh, it's terrible.
Who does this?
I would never do that. No way.
Who does this?
Exactly, right?
Oh man, but they're actually fine.
Yep. Yeah, they're all good.
Nothing happens. They're totally fine.
They're fine. For a while.
And I made a note here at this point. By this point we've heard a lot of there've been a lot of moments where there's classical music playing and it's like really peaceful. And I kind of love that dichotomy between the like frantic, like running away from or killing the infected, and then like also having these moments out in nature where it just seems really peaceful.
Right. Yeah, it's a juxtaposition of the two worlds. The awful
it's a really
reality,
nice juxtaposition.
The reality of what happened, and then how nature is. Yeah, right. Kind of. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. That was a good job.
Yeah. So then what happens after that? They get to the way station, the sanctuary place, and nobody's there.
Right. Well, they don't think anyone's there.
Well, yeah, nobody's there at the moment. And Frank walks around. He's looking around, and this is the moment.
Oh man.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
There's a crow eating an infected dude above him, and he looks up, and one drop of blood comes off the crow's beak and lands in his eye. Oh,
and he
so
knows
bad.
Right away. Yep.
He knows immediately.
Yep.
He tells his daughter to get away from him, and then he's freaking out. Jim is going to like whack him with his bat, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. He's shot to death by snipers.
Yeah.
So the military was there.
Yep. Pseudo military.
They were there. Right. Well, they were
military,
there.
I guess, yeah.
And they just were there a little bit too late for Frank.
Yeah. Yep.
Just
little bit.
A minute too late for Frank.
Pretty much.
And they take Jim, Selena, and Hannah to their base.
Which is like some old beat up mansion or something. Or not beat up.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like an old
it
sort of rundown mansion.
Right.
And like with grounds, like
and it's just full of junk and story. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's probably some old seat of nobility.
You know what it is? It's a manor.
Yeah, it's a manor to the manor born.
It was someone's manor, right?
Yes, it's a manor. So they get there, and then the leader, Henry West, is giving Jim a tour, and he shows him his,
and they're way too nice, right?
Pet.
They're way too nice, and it's like these people.
Oh, they're super nice.
This is
but
not
he shows him
right.
But he shows him his pet infected.
Yeah, the guy just outside, yeah, that was great. I love it. That reminds me of Bub from Day of the Dead, the one they had to give the Walkman to, and he listens to the Walkman, and he's all chained up. Yeah, it's the same deal, right? That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, and so he says to him at one point, he said, he's telling him what he hoped to learn from him. He says, but it will tell me how long it takes the infected to starve to death.
Yep. Yeah.
Which I thought was actually
crazy.
At first I was like, ugh. And then I was like, actually, that's smart. You kind of need to know that because it's like that infection rate, right. Once they've all starved to death, they can't infect anybody else.
Right. Right.
Well, at least they can't actively attack anybody.
Right. Yeah. I know you never think of it, but it's interesting because that's the whole thing is they're not zombies, they're not dead. So it's interesting to think about that and realize they are still people. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Right.
Crazy.
So they all have a big dinner together.
Right. Which is weird.
And then there's another guy there, Farrell, who's one of the other military guys. And he has a good point, which I think is part of Danny Boyle's point too with this movie about how this scourge is for humankind is really just a return to the Earth's normal, since for most of the existence of the Earth, there weren't any people.
That's right. So what we know is what we created, and it's not what was here, millions of years ago. Exactly.
Yep. And so then some infected show up, and the military guys go out to fight them. And
they had all the trip wires and the lights out there and everything. Yeah. and they just start
Yeah.
They got weapons galore. They are in no shortage of ammo or anything like that.
Oh yeah, they are not playing, and they're like wasting ammo. Like they're like just shooting at things when they're like hundreds and hundreds of feet away, and you could never hit them. Like wait until they're closer. What does it see till you see the whites in their eyes? I mean, not that there is white in their eyes; it would have to be the reds in their eyes. But still,
if you know anything about your zombie movies or games, you can't waste ammo. You can't do that.
Exactly, you can't waste your ammo.
Don't ever do that.
They're being silly,
but they're stupid.
So then, West, the leader, tells Jim that he promised his men women because one of them was going to kill himself because he just didn't see a future for anybody because it was all men. Right. And so Jim, like, and I love this. This is like horror movie heroes who actually act rationally. Instead of like pussyfooting around it, he had straight for Selena and Hannah's like, we're out of here.
Yep. He knows.
And they try to leave, but the military men are all trying to keep him there, except that same guy, Farrell.
Yeah.
But Jim gets knocked out. Farrell's overwhelmed, and now they're prisoners.
Yep. and that's when you realize, they're just trying to make a new colony, basically, with this.
Right. They're no longer guests.
Right.
They're prisoners.
They were never guests in the first place. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah.
Well, and they were just gonna rape the women.
Oh yeah.
They were. That's the only reason they let him in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like,
of course, that was the plan the whole time. Yeah, of course.
So then, like, Jim and Farrell are taken out into the woods with those two guys who have to shoot them. But there's a scuffle, and Jim escapes, and that's when he sees the plane flying overhead.
That's right.
That's when he sees the plane the first time. So. Remember that.
Yep.
We will get back to that. So the girls are supposed to be getting dressed in like fancy dresses.
Oh yeah, they gave them all these dresses to get in. Yeah, I know, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so creepy.
And you know she's going to try to attack one of them, and it doesn't work.
Right. And so Selena tries to trick them into going away.
Right. Oh, she's like,
out of the room.
I need to get dressed. Please give me some privacy or whatever.
And this is again another one of the things that is absolutely terrifying. She's not trying to escape or anything like that. She's trying to give Hannah drugs so she won't be as aware of what's happening to her.
That's right.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
That's absolutely horrifying.
I don't know that I've ever seen that in anything else. Yeah, that is really interesting, isn't it?
Oh my God, that's
scary.
Oh, it's so scary to me.
In a way, she's trying to do the best thing for her. She believes is with this, so I don't know.
Right. She's trying to do the thing that she thinks is most reasonable and smartest, and what she thinks is, and we can live through this, but she shouldn't have to remember it.
Right.
So that's horrifying.
Oh yeah.
Then Jim, as he's escaped, has gotten like over the wall of the manor. And so he gets back to the waypoint where they first met the military guys, and he sounds the alarm to get them out there.
And he busts up, he cracks some skulls, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. West and another guy go out there, and he kills the younger guy like in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like that. It's like so
there's
fast.
One guy sitting in one of the trucks or something, and he wipes him out too, right? Or whatever.
Oh yeah, maybe it's a couple guys.
Yeah,
so yeah, he kills them. The infected show up, and West runs.
Mm-hmm.
He's out. Books it out of there.
Yeah.
And so now we're back with Hannah and Selena. Hannah is totally
she's all
drugged.
She's all jacked up. Oh yeah.
She does not give a flying you know what.
No.
She just starts telling their guard that she thinks the others are dead and he's going to be next.
Right.
Like, she's like, the others are dead. Like, the infected got him. You're next. And
he's like, what are you talking about? And then they basically bust in like a minute later, don't they, pretty much?
Right. Yeah, they bust right in. Right. Everybody's dying and getting infected left and right. Like,
that's great.
Oh, and then there's that scene where Hannah's in one of the bedrooms, and she runs to a bedroom to escape from an infected.
Right.
And they follow her in the bed into the bedroom, and she's not there. And then we see her clinging.
She's on the back of the mirror.
To the back of the mirror.
Yeah, that was
all
great.
All her might. with just her fingers.
Right, she's
and her
barely
feet
hanging
on the
on.
frame.
Yeah.
She's just hanging on. Oh, that was so good. I love that
And then,
part.
of course, the hero, Jim, makes his way back and finally shows up. And
Yep, he's trying to find the girls. He finds Selena, kills the dick out of the only guy left, like thumbs in his eyes,
that was
everything.
Great. That was great. Yeah.
Everything. And then they get Hannah, they run outside. West is there.
Yep.
And I love this. Hannah gets to kill West just by jumping in the front of the car, backing it into an infected because he's in the car in the back seat.
And boom,
she backs it
right through the glass and grabs him.
Right through the glass, grabs him, and then she rolls forward and it doesn't get her.
And you're wondering, like, how could you have planned that? But it's like genius. Yeah, I know.
Oh, it's perfect. And then,
of course, it's raining when all this is happening, which makes it even more cool.
Oh, of course.
Even more exciting to watch.
And so Jim and Selena, jump into the car with Hannah. Hannah is driving. She has to ram the locked gate to get out.
And that's when that slow-mo scene, right? It stops.
Cut to
the freeze frame of them like
28
about to crash
days
through the window.
later.
Right. The car.
Yep.
Because that's going to be some painful, what, going through that door, that gate.
And 28 days after that, they're living quietly in a farmhouse.
I know, and then they're enjoying.
And Hannah hears the plane.
Yep, the plane. And hurry up, get it. And you don't know what's going to happen. And they go out there, and they bring out that giant blanket. I'm assuming they put this together themselves.
They've sewed
obviously.
it into the.
Right.
Well, yeah, you see Selena at that old ancient sewing machine.
Right. Yep, that's right.
And so I love this though. Their sign doesn't say help; it says hello.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yep.
Because they're okay now.
Yeah.
Which I love. And the plane buzzes them.
Right.
Which I watched this with Jason this week. To rewatch it for this. And he said, I think does one of them say it? I wonder if they saw us or something. And he says,
Hannah says, do you think they saw
us? And he says to me, well, of course they saw them. The plane buzzed them. You don't do that if you don't see anybody. He's like, you do that because you saw them.
Right.
So this is my military husband. He's like, the plane buzzed them because it saw them.
We gotta have the facts here, right? Exactly.
So there you go. If you were wondering if the plane saw them, my husband has the answer.
There you go.
It did indeed. And that's the end.
Now,
and that's it.
There is an alternate ending, I think, isn't there?
Oh, I was not aware of this alternate ending.
I believe there is an alternate ending, but I have not seen it in a very, very long time, and I do not even remember what happens. But there is a quick, I think it's I think it picks up from the scene where they're crashing the car into the gate, and instead of them being all happy on the farm out there, I can't remember it though. You have to pull it up. It's definitely a YouTube.
Oh, well.
I'm sure you could find it on YouTube, but. I think
we'll let you know if we find it, guys. We'll put it in the show notes if we find it.
I think it came in like this if you have a special edition DVD. But yeah, I think it's something kind of neat to watch. I wish I could remember it.
Very cool.
I cannot remember. Yeah, you know what? It's a great movie.
So I feel like it's almost two movies, right? Because there's this quiet sort of contemplative look at the horrors and the beauty of a world where this has all happened.
Sure.
And then there's this the last third of it is this raucous, frenetic, absolutely crazy story of these men who have gone bonkers in a few weeks.
Right.
They've gone completely Lord of the Flies.
And I think that's the whole point is that's why I love a show like Walking Dead, because a lot of time it's not even about the zombies and running around killing zombies. It's about what would each person do? What would a group of people do if the world ended? What would you do? Where would you go? How would you behave? Would you just totally break down like that? Just like those guys do? Would you try to keep order?
Sure. Would you fight about who slept with who and who has to do the laundry? That's what I would do if the world was ending.
Who wouldn't, of course. I mean, yeah, so that's what yeah, exactly. When shit breaks down, when society breaks down, what are you going to do, right? I think that's a really cool look at it because, Night of the Living Dead, okay, it is amazing. It's a classic movie. But we never get to that part in the story. We never find out what would happen really later. Dawn of the Dead talks about it, and that's what Walking Dead does. what really is life like after some sort of virus or cataclysmic event or a zombie apocalypse. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, these guys are just hell-bent on starting their own society again, and it's just like crazy. Yeah. Scary.
Yeah, they're crazed.
Yep. Yeah.
But that part of the movie is very different from the first 2/3 of the movie.
And I like how that act, it just kind of
takes a spin.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Yep. And then at the end, it's nice and calm again. It's like,
Right. Then it's back to the like, oh, and we can live like this. We can still like survive. Right. It'll be different. It'll be very different, but we can survive.
Now, I would suggest you watch 28 Weeks Later. It's pretty good.
We'll have to do that at some point.
That's a little bit different, but it's roughly the same storyline, if you will. I wish they had made a 28 Months Later. That's what I'd love to finish off the trifecta there.
28 years later, 28 decades later.
I don't know if I need that. But
28 decades later, we're in space.
Yeah, right. I would love to have 28 months later. I think would be really, really cool. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we'll have to do 28 weeks later another time. Our next week, can I tell them what our next week is?
That's what teasers are all about, right?
Our next week, we are going to do Ninth Gate.
Oh, wow.
Oh, such a good movie. This is one that we both agree.
Are we allowed to? Can we make this one like 3.5 hours long?
Yeah. This one might be a little longer than usual, guys.
Yeah, I could go on
because it's a dense movie, and it is so good.
It is amazing.
But do you have anything else you want to talk about 28 Days Later?
I mean, it definitely is. It's considered a zombie movie. There's no doubt about it. Even though I know we mentioned that they are infected, they're not necessarily zombies, but it is a zombie movie. Yeah, I mean, I really like it. I think it's done for not much money. Like you said, it was using digital was such a great thing, and it's kind of timeless. It still looks good today, no matter when you watch it. It'll look good 10 years from now.
It looks good today because it didn't look that good to begin with.
Well, maybe there you go.
Because it's standard depth.
The point, and then 28 weeks later, of course, is nice and slick and glossy and Hollywood made, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it works. It's not lame. It's not cheesy. The acting is great. The effects are great. The audio in it's good. Yeah, I mean, it's not like they did this because they had no money. They didn't have a ton of money, but they tried. This is what making a film and using your craft and using your tools is all about. And trying to use something like this, which I thought was so cool for them to use that format. I thought that was great.
Yeah,
and it told anyone like me, you can do this. You
definitely.
You too can make this movie. You don't have to have
that
all this.
That is definitely true.
Because that was the beginning states of being able to afford this kind of stuff on your own and do these yourself. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I definitely enjoy this movie. It is not absolutely one of my favorites though, like some other ones, but I do very much enjoy this movie. I think it's a little uneven with that third act is a little out of left field, but I do quite enjoy this movie. And I definitely think it's worth watching.
Oh yeah. No, I like it a lot.
Definitely think it's worth watching.
I definitely like it a lot.
So darlings, before we sign off. Darling, before we sign off, we'd like to ask you, if you enjoyed the podcast, please rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you're listening so more people can find us. And don't forget to send us your movie suggestions and your thoughts on the movies we've watched so far at thescarymoviepodcast@gmail.com. And who knows, maybe we will start sharing them soon.
Ooh, yeah.
In new episodes.
And if you thought we totally stunk, let us know. So...
Yeah, but maybe email us instead of rating. How about that?
Yeah.
If you thought we stunk, tell us privately.
Yeah, maybe that's a better idea. Okay.
Email us with your tips.
That's probably a better idea. All right. I'm zombied out. That's all I got.
I'm infected out. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
No, it doesn't really work. That doesn't.
We are zombied out, people.
All right, good deal.
And we will see you next time when we do Ninth Gate.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Deuces. See ya.